Welcome to edition 2 of season 8, part 2 of The Water Rats on Eyes and Teeth. When I was brought into the Grand Order in July 2014, King Rat was rock music legend Rick Wakeman. To be chatting to Rick and soap stars, radio, TV, comedy or sitcom stars I have admired since I was a kid, it truly is a wonderful part of our order, but that's just one part of being a member. When a member of your audience or crew or cast members backstage ask, "What is that mouse badge you're wearing?" or "What is the Water Rats all about? What do you do? How long has it been going?" Well, firstly, it's a rat's emblem. And you proudly wear your emblem whenever you're out in public, just as acknowledgement of the Water Rats and what it represents. It represents charity, it represents good people who just want to give back. So I believe I'm in the right place. As Baby Rat, just 2 months in, I was soon after sent an invitation to Buckingham Palace with my wife to celebrate the 125 years of the Order in the presence of Her Majesty the Queen and His Royal Highness the late Prince Philip. I introduced my wife to the Queen of England. It's not every day you get to say that. One honour was to follow in many Water Rats' footsteps who were ventriloquists. On my initiation, I was so proud that ventriloquists turned up. There was my seconder, past King Rat, Roger de Courcy. There was John Bouchier, Alan Simmons. But over the years there was past King Rat Fred Russell, Albert Savine, Neville King, Arthur Worsley, Peter Bruff, Keith Harris, Sandy Powell and Ken Dodd. To add my name even to the bottom of this list is an honour, and in my book, Ventriloquist, now in its second draft, I pay tribute to everyone. Ray Allen was a master ventriloquist, but not a water rat. But talking with Richard, or Dickie Gauntlett as he's known within the business, he talks fondly of moments working with Ray and Lord Charles, or as many people call him, Ray Charles. Richard Gauntlett is a one-man production. He can write it, produce it, direct it, and star in it. And he's an experienced, very funny man. In lodge meetings, Dickie is one of the funniest ad-libbers around. I keep quiet when I'm around him, mainly because he's louder than me. Today we talk about Norman Wisdom, Laurel Hardy, Charlie Chaplin, Michael Crawford, and Tucker with his and Dickie's collaboration on the 2020 Panto in a Pickle at the Theatre Royal in Norwich. We talk about the young ones, cruise ships, celebrity tours of Sussex, and the Grand Order of Water Rats. Welcome to Eyes and Teeth, The Water Rats Part 2, Richard Gauntlett.
Lovely to be here. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, I don't know where you are. I can't see you. I can hear you though, but you're literally within a mile of me. So
I am. Yes.
yes.
Sunny Eastbourne.
Yeah.
Sunny Eastbourne.
Cloudy Eastbourne. Obviously social distancing. So a mile is good, isn't it? It's got to that, isn't it?
Yeah, I think we'll be all right. Yeah, a mile's good.
Yeah.
I'm still wearing a mask.
And you still can't see my lips move for a lot of reasons.
No, it's done your job a lot of good, actually, isn't it, really?
I've got better.
Your career's gone from strength to strength.
I've got a lot better. Saying that you're only a mile from me, in a couple of weeks' time, you're going to be about 200 miles away. So you're going back to Norwich. I was delighted when I saw this on Facebook earlier. You're going back to do pantomime, and the idea of 6 pantos in 1 hour. Dickie Gauntlett loves the challenge. You do love challenging yourself. Can you tell us more about these shows?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I've been doing Norwich for a few years now, and unfortunately, Norwich was one of the first pantos to be cancelled, and we were all a bit upset and everything. But They came through and said, "Would we like to do a socially distanced show?" Okay. I said, "Yeah, that'd be it." So we've been putting this thing together for about a couple of months now, and it's a cast of 3.
Oh wow!
So,
but how many characters are you playing?
So me, a girl, and a comic.
Brilliant.
So we're visiting. The original press release was 6 pantos in an hour.
Yes.
But then I had to write it, and actually it was more difficult to write than a normal panto, because a normal panto, at least you've got a rough plot.
Yes.
Sort of as a coat hanger. But suddenly we had to do 6, and I had to name the 6 as well. But it's turned out great. And so we've got Harriet Bunton doing it. She's a lovely West End singer. And actually, when I first went to Norwich years ago, she was the tiny, tiny babe. So it was lovely to have her back.
That's a lovely moment.
Yeah. And the comic is someone you know.
Should I guess?
Tucker is joining me.
Oh, you're joking, because, I mean, he's usually down here in Eastbourne, but obviously that's not going on. So you're driving up together, are you? That'll be perfect.
Yeah. So it's brilliant, because I was doing some writing for some of his clients, and I was talking to him when we were sort of putting the thing together, and I'd already had a long chat with Mr. Jordan, who puts the pantos together in Eastbourne.
King's Lynn, yeah.
No panto was happening this year, so Tucker was free. And I just sort of happened to mention, I said, what are you doing at Christmas? He said, nothing at all. I said, yeah, but you'll be, no, nothing at all. We got him for Norwich, which is good, because usually he's busy with Panto, and I've never worked with him.
Or cruises. Mate, you're going to get on so well, because I know you get on well anyway, but Tucker done, I think he's done 6, this would have been his 7th year, I think, in Eastbourne. And so, and I do think maybe, he may stay with you for a few years. That may happen. I know Cromer loved him, so the Norfolk people love Tucker. He got me into Cromer, so I think... it may be a one-off, but I'm just saying, like, they love him here and they don't want to let him go. That's the danger, isn't it, of falling in love?
And being at home at Christmas for Panto is such a rare thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be silly to give that up. But we have got him for 1 year, so it should be fun. And although I've known him for probably 20 or 30 years, I've never actually worked on stage with him.
Oh, wow. That's going to be a blast.
Yeah. I directed him at Cromer 1 year.
Okay.
And that's the last time I worked with him. I think that was 2000, 2001. No, probably 2004, 5.
Was Robert Marlowe still working for you?
Oh, no, Robert Marlowe left and I took over. So it was 2001, 2.
Okay.
I think it was.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Nearly 20 years ago. Talking about that. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know.
And so you are challenging yourself, and good luck with the show. Is it one show you're doing throughout the run, or is it just a few shows?
Yeah, it's called Panto in a Pickle. And basically, the comic visits 6 different pantos to retrieve magical artifacts.
Oh, that sounds brilliant.
Sort of pantomime crystal maze, I suppose. but we end up with a beanstalk in a cave with a. We've still got a massive. It's still a massive show. We've still got flying. We've still got trapdoors. We've got 6 massive sets.
You've got masks, hand sanitizer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Oh, well done, mate. I was really chuffed. I only knew about that this morning, so
it'll be fun.
Yeah, all the best for that. How many pantos have you appeared? Have you done all of the subjects?
Yeah, I think do you know, I've never done... There are some I'd like to do.
There's rare runs, isn't it? Humpty Dumpty or Mother Goose.
I want to do Sinbad, because that was quite a big panto in its day.
Are you kidding me? I've never heard that before.
Yeah, it's a bit like a Grecian Dick Whittington, I suppose. But Ken Dodd used to tour Sinbad. That was his big panto that he did for years and years and years.
Brilliant.
So that was his favourite. And there's a few I haven't done at Norwich, but I've done elsewhere.
Okay.
I did Goldilocks years ago with Bradley Walsh in St Albans for E&B as they were then, but they're now... No, it was Kudos. Kudos had... So I've done that, but I've never done... Sinbad is the one I ideally love to do, but I've done all the others, I think. Yeah.
Oh, brilliant. What's your favourite part to play?
Well, it's funny, because when I went to Norwich originally, I've been at Norwich, this is my 20th year at Norwich.
Wow. Do you know what I thought was really sad? We spoke, didn't we, at the beginning of the lockdown, and you were quite worried it weren't going to go ahead, and it would have been your 20th anniversary, so it's quite nice you are going back, and you get to do this, which is amazing. And you have played Buttons, and you've also now played Buttons' mum, so which is your favourite?
Well, it's funny, because I play a lot of games, but when we used to do Cinderella... I used to play Buttons, because I won't play Ugly Sister, because it's not really a game, it's the baddie. So last year, when we did Cinderella, they told me, I know this is shocking, everybody sit down. They told me that I was too old for Buttons. So I was a little bit upset. But
no one wants to get to that part, do they?
Who do you want to play?
Yeah.
So I actually played the fairy godmother.
Wow.
And we had girls playing the uglies, which worked really, really well.
I think you're too young to play the godmother as well.
A lot of makeup, obviously.
Oh,
a lot of makeup. was used. We got Rick Baker in to do prosthetics. It was fun.
Great.
No, but it seemed to work. But I think my favourite, I do like Widow Twankey. I think Widow Twankey's a fabulous role.
Yeah, I'd love to see. Firstly, I'd love to see the Norwich Panto. I've heard so much about it, and I think it's a lot of your input that has gone into that has made it what it is, and it's broken records. For sales and everything, and I speak to you every year. Yep, we've broken a record again, and it's so. But I'd just love to see you. I've never seen you work, I don't think, Dickie, and I'm embarrassed to say that. I've known you in the Water Rats for God knows, at least 6-7 years, but I don't think I've seen you work.
We run for the 16th of December.
Brilliant.
But they're also at Norwich. They're also running 2 other shows with us. It's a selection of shows. So there's also a circus show going on and a late night comedy show.
Great.
So they're giving the Christmas audiences anything they want, really.
That's amazing.
So come along to one or all 3.
Yeah. I mean, are you in all 3? Or because Tucker could go and do the comedy show as well, couldn't he? Because he could do his act as well.
He could do stand up. But no, the comedy show is
separate too.
Is separate, as is the circus show, which is a circus show called a Circus Carol, which was put on at the Playhouse in Norwich last year. So
nice.
It's a sort of same as that.
Eyes and Teeth. You've worked Panto with Christopher Ryan, who I'm a fan of. He's famed for his part in The Young Ones. Did he give you any scoops on behind the scenes of the show?
No, Chris Ryan. It was very interesting actually, because we were after. That was when we set. We did Cinderella by the Sea, so it was in a seaside town. So he was head of Hard Up Hotel.
Nice.
And he played Baron Hardup, and he was brilliant. I mean, just fantastic. I mean, you're not really sure how short that man is until you work with him.
No,
and then you think, oh my word!
Because he was absolutely fabulous as well, wasn't he? He's done a lot of iconic sitcoms.
Yeah. And he's done everything. I mean, he's done Doctor Who, and he's amazing performer, and was very, very, very particular about getting it absolutely right. Very caring performer, but very funny. I mean, really, really funny.
Nice.
Because you could shoot him a line that wasn't necessarily right, and he'd just look at you like that, and he'd come out with the exact line back.
Really?
He was meant to say, even if it didn't make any sense to us.
You tried to throw him, but he never got thrown.
Yeah, never. Just carried straight on. Lovely man.
True professional.
Yeah, really lovely man.
Yeah, I'm very blessed to have Nigel Planer on this podcast, and so he did tell me a couple of things about Christopher, which was nice. They also, loved each other on that show. It amazes me there was only 12 episodes, I think, or 14 episodes, just like Castle, 40 Towers. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it, to think that? You think it went on for years.
Yeah, and there weren't that many. Well, you take Dinner Ladies was the other one that is a starting little number of episodes. I think that's probably might be the same as 40 Towers. I'm not sure. Have to look that one
it's
up.
Crazy. I mean, they stand out, don't they? Like The Office.
Yeah.
They stand out and they finish at the right time. I believe they finish at the right time because some
finish at the top.
Yes. Which comedian has been your favourite to work with? I mean, it's not nice picking names, but which one did you really gel with and love working with?
Well, it's funny because my career has sort of spanned musical theatre into cabaret, into variety, so I've worked with so many and liked them all for so many different reasons. Yeah. And I've toured a lot with some of the greats, and indeed I spoke to you about it. I mean, I toured for a couple of years with Ray Allen and Lord Charles.
Oh wow!
That was an absolute inspiration. It really was, because the guy was absolutely fantastic. I mean, just an incredible act. And Lord Charles, to this day, I think of Lord Charles as a completely different person to Ray Allen.
Really?
I actually remember the puppet being a person, being totally different.
Well, that's the master of what Ray Allen was, wasn't it? It's what he brought to the stage. He was incredible. He really was a master of our art.
we used to do the British Week in the United Arab Emirates. We used to do Abu Dhabi and Dubai, and used to tour that area.
Oh,
and I
wow.
did that for about 6 or 7 years, and went with Ray Allen, went with Ted Rogers, and
Ted was great.
And Ted Hockridge and people like that. And I can remember one year turning up with Ray Allen at a hotel. And the bloke at the counter said, "Yes, you're in room 444, and we've given Lord Charles the suite above." Because they actually thought, "Hey, says, is Lord Charles with you?" And he just put the briefcase on the counter. Says, "He's in there, and I'll take the suite with the Lord."
That's fantastic.
He got a suite out of it because of Lord Charles.
Yeah, what a lovely story. I love that story.
Yeah.
I'd never heard that before. Oh, wow. Well done. Thanks for that.
Yeah.
But it's
a
just...
lovely man, and always immaculate.
I was going to say, he's pristine, wasn't he?
Yeah, and always drove a beautifully polished Daimler. Always, massive Jag he had. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, lovely man. Brilliant man.
Yeah, Masters. Thanks for bringing him up. It's nice to know that he was an inspiration. A lot of people have mentioned Ray in this business, but writing my book as well. A lot of people spoke about him. So it's just nice when you're remembered that way. And we've lost a lot of water rats this year. Where you talk about Roy Hudd, Ken Dodd recently, Ken Joy. There's people in this business that we admire and know, and then we've lost. Cannonball, Bobby Ball, and Eddie Large. So to remember them and talk about them in these stories and archive them in this way is really nice to hear. Great stories about them.
Because the stories will go, and the stories eventually will die out as well. And I think people should remember these people. Because stories is what is how we survive. Remembering those great moments, remembering those great performers, and what we did with them. Not only on stage but off stage as well.
Yeah, definitely. Where did your theatrical magic enter your interests, Richard? When did you first get a love and passion for the stage?
Oh, I suppose when I was a kid, both my parents were keen andrams. And they used to belong to a society called West Wickham Operatic Society, which my father is still in. I think he's been chairman now for nearly 40 years.
Oh, that's incredible. Where was that? Where's that based?
It's in West Wickham in Kent.
Okay.
They used to perform at the Azalea Hall in Beckenham. I remember it to this day. And they used to do the works of Gilbert and Sullivan, which over the last few years have crept back into my career, funny enough. But I suppose that's what sort of gave me the sort of interest. And then at school, my secondary school used to put on a very large musical in the summer, and it was directed by the woodwork teacher, funnily enough, who's still alive, actually. I think he's about 100 now.
Was it Pinocchio he was putting on?
Ray Harris. No, but I can remember I was Doolittle in My Fair Lady. That's right, and I can remember absolutely loving it. And from that moment, I really didn't think I would do anything else. And
you knew.
Unfortunately, I don't know. Unfortunately, fortunately, I didn't get my required grades at A level.
Right.
Because I was going to go up to Leeds to a drama place called Bretton Hall and do a degree up there. Because my parents, although they realised what I wanted to do, you've got to get something behind you, some qualifications, you've got to get them, But I didn't get into Bretton Hall, and in the end went to a college in London called the Academy of Live and Recorded Arts.
Okay.
Which was a complete waste of time.
Oh, really?
It really was.
I was waiting for the success story then.
No, so what happened? So while I was at the Academy of Live and Recorded Arts, I'd already learnt to juggle and all that sort of stuff because there was a local juggling workshop in Bromley. And in fact, I learnt to juggle with Steve Rawlins. Steve Rawlins and I were in the same juggling workshop.
Oh, you're kidding me. Oh, we love Steve.
No.
Wow.
So me, Steve Rawlins and Andre Vincent, great comic, we learned to juggle together. Yeah.
Are you saying Andre can juggle?
Andre's a good juggler.
No, I did not know that. Wow.
Yeah. So we could already juggle, and we could already unicycle and stuff like that. It was a circus workshop and all this, so we were learning it and everything. And I used to do a double act with Andre Vincent. He and I used to do on the streets of Covent Garden. So we were busking on the streets.
Brilliant.
While I was at college. And I heard that there was an audition, it was a closed audition, but I was told it was an open audition for the show Barnum.
Okay.
Which was being restaged to open the Opera House in Manchester with Michael Crawford. So I turned up to the audition with my unicycle and my juggling clubs to be told it was a private audition, but then they let me in because I was struggling with so much gear.
Oh, I love these stories. You gate crashed an audition. Love it.
I gate crashed the audition. Michael Crawford was at the audition. He took a liking to me, which was really nice. I sang because I could always sing. I don't know why. My parents could sing, and my mother sent me to singing lessons, so I could sing. And then they said any other skills, and I did 20 minutes. So I ended up with a step ladder on my chin in the middle of the Victoria Palace stage. And in those days, this was 82, 83, I think this was.
Yeah.
So in those days, you couldn't work in professional theatre unless you were a member of Equity,
sure,
the Actors Union. And I didn't have a card. I didn't have an Equity card.
Right.
So a guy called Kurt Gansel, who was it was being produced by Howard Fielding, an old producer.
Okay.
Who'd done all the big shows in London. And his casting director was a guy called Kurt Gansel, who pulled a few strings. I mean, really, it was a very tricky thing to do. But pulled a few strings and got me my Equity card, and they offered me the job. And then the winter of 83, 84, I think it was 84, 85, I went up to Manchester, and my first job was Barnum, which then transferred to the West End, which then they made the film version of it, the video of the stage show. And it was 2 years' work straight away. And that's it. I came out with a full card.
Mate, that's incredible to go straight to your first professional job into Barnum with Michael Crawford. What did you learn from Michael?
He was still one of the most remarkable people I've ever worked with. He was. A lot of us in the show were green. We were new to the business, and he wanted a young cast. To this day, we still have reunions. We still see Michael, and to this day, we still talk to each other. And it was a happy show. And it was different though. In those days, I sound really old, don't I, when I say
well,
this?
no, do you know the 80s was 40 years ago, and I can't believe that. I'm saying that, but that's mad. Yeah.
But it was different in those days. Backstage, you weren't allowed to sit down in your costume.
Ray Allen wouldn't allow that, would he?
No. It's funny, isn't it? And you put your trousers on before you left the dressing room. So you walk round just before you left your dressing room, then you put your trousers on to go. So you keep the crease in them and stuff like that.
Yes.
And during those 2 years, I think one person was off for one night. The rest of the show, no one was off.
I bet no one wanted to be, because it sounds like it was an amazing cast, and I'm very sad to say I've never seen Barnum, and I'm hoping that video is going to be either online or I can buy it. Can you buy that?
It's on Amazon. You can watch it on Amazon.
We will.
I believe.
I'll do that tonight. I'll do that because I've got nothing planned. I'd love to see it.
So I played the white-faced clown in that version.
Oh, wow.
And it was fantastic. I mean, it really, really was. And Crawford worked to the end. I mean, he worked to the nth degree. And we've got a backstage video somewhere. I don't know where it is. A guy called Michael Heath did it for us, who played the ringmaster then, of us rehearsing stunts that the insurance company would not allow in the show.
Really?
Crawford was doing it. He'd do a hand-to-hand to someone, come off in the middle of a song, hit a trumpet, back somersault over 4 people, land, walk forward and carry on the song. Wow. And the insurance people said, no, he's not doing that. He's not doing that. But in those days, it was just something we were all doing, and it was an amazing show. And at 5 o'clock every day, we'd meet and warm up. Pre-show warm-ups were new then. I mean, they're sort of compulsory now. But in those days, and we'd just warm up, all of us, on all the equipment on the stage, the tight ropes, the flying trapeze, the flying stuff, the juggling equipment, and the unicycles. So we all came out sort of multi-skilled of that show. I really did. So,
that's fantastic. I can't wait to see it. It was a
brilliant show to be part of. It really, really was.
Eyes and Teeth. I am in awe of your CV, because you're not only like seasoned in opera and variety and musicals, and you do serious roles as well. Have you done Shakespeare? Have you done serious plays?
I did. I've done. I think I've done 3 Shakespeares. Isn't that awful? And no, well, I say that I've probably done 7 Shakespeares, but 5 of them were Midsummer Night's Dream. And I did my Midsummer Night's Dream in rep and stuff, always playing Puck. Yeah. And in fact, when I was at college before I left to do Barnum, I was playing Puck in the 3rd year production, which is why I never went. I was a little jumpy thing, and they thought I'd be ideal for Puck. So I never went to lessons. I was always in rehearsals for Midsummer Night's Dream Puck that I'd already done in an amateur theatre, so I knew it anyway, which is why drama college was a waste of time. But, yeah, I played Puck a lot. I played Ariel in The Tempest as well. But Puck is something that later on, I think, what year was that? 2003, 4. I played Puck in the opera. I suddenly was asked to do the opera. So I did the Benjamin Britten Opera at the Fenice in Venice, which is one of the biggest opera houses in the world. Yes. And suddenly I was promoted into this fantastic world of opera for a director called David Palkey that I've worked with other productions around the world now, and it's quite a nice little sort of side career doing grand opera. But I always get cast as funny little parts, sort of little hints. You're a funny little man. And little fairies and things like that that have to hang from chandeliers and come up through trapdoors and jump through maps. Oh wow! It's great fun. I mean, it's brilliant fun. I mean, it really is, and I like doing different things. I don't like. If I think I stayed in variety, or I stayed in musical theatre, or I stayed in opera, I think I'd get very bored. And so the fact that I sort of switch from each one, I never get bored, and I'm always on to the next thing, which is very exciting. And I do appreciate what I do. You do interchange, but I mean, you excel in all those parts that you do take up, and you've got a very unique variety act, which I was lucky enough to see on a cruise once. Can you describe your act and how you built it from scratch to performing on the ships and in variety theatres? Because audiences at home can be different, can't they, to cruise ship audiences? And they can. Desperately different. And also as you know, I always like to find out the demographic. If they're all Australians out there, you're laughing. Oh, yeah. You're laughing. Yeah. Great fun. And the Americans are great audiences.
German.
If you've got the younger British set, you thought, they're going to be a bit sticky, which is a bit strange, really. But the ship audiences are great fun. They're great fun, and I think most of the time they don't really know what to expect. I think nowadays ship audiences are used to ships. Yes. Whereas sort of 10 years ago, I think we were on a princess ship together, weren't we?
Yes. I forget which ship it was, but I remember watching you.
Yeah, but so when I went on the ships, I sort of had a juggling act that I was doing in music hall and the city varieties and places like that. I sort of had a juggling act, but just had to extend it a bit. And what I sort of bring them on ships is a one-man variety show. So I do a bit of juggling, I do a bit of magic, I do a bit of stand-up, I do a bit of escapology.
That's what I saw when I watched you, and I was blown away, mate, by the whole variety and the mixed bag that you brought out. It was so entertaining.
It's great fun. It's brilliant fun, and I really adore doing the ships. I really do. But I think ships, I don't think they'll come back now to how they were. I don't think they'll ever come back to those lovely days when you used to get on board a ship, shown your cabin, and then if you were on there for a week, you were bothered twice. Or even once.
Get out of bed, I need to clean it. Yeah.
That's right. Yeah, I don't want to clean my cabin. I've got to get out. And they used to have brilliantly massive casts on. So you'd be on with another comic, a special act, and 2 singers and an instrumentalist.
It's a social life, wasn't it?
Ignore the instrumentalist and go out with the rest of them, and it was brilliant. Well, but you used to have dinner together, you used to go out on trips.
Yeah, do you know these cruise ships? They're nothing without people, are they? Obviously, but I mean, the stories that we tell about ships is about working with other acts. Oh my God, we went to New York, we did this. We went into Barcelona and did this, and the memories we've got. Luckily, we've got from these cruise ships is just as good as the pantomime behind the scenes stories.
Yeah, I really think so. I mean, the places you find yourselves in the weirdest of... I can remember standing in the middle of a beach on Easter Island with those huge, great statues.
Yeah, been there, yeah.
And behind me, taking a photograph, was Christopher Biggins in a pair of Speedos. I mean, it's the sublime to the ridiculous. I'm not saying which one's which. But things like that, you just can't believe what you're doing, and and the places I've been to. I mean, it's just ridiculous with Galapagos and all the Easter Island and all those islands in the Pacific, which were just amazing.
The Pitcairn Islands, yeah.
Pitcairn, yeah. We did. I was on the last ever cruise of the QE2, and we stopped at Pitcairn. For the first time the QE2 had ever been there, funnily enough. It's a bit late now.
I think I'd done that cruise before you. I'd done the very last Southampton to New York with Dave Evans, and then it came back to Southampton, and then done that last trip. You must have done the very last trip.
Yeah, it was the very, very last trip.
Wow.
It was the very last trip.
I'd done the penultimate.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yes, I came up with loads of booty.
Yeah,
loads of
loads of towels, menus. I still got my menus actually, and Captain signed the menu, and they gave you a menu for every day of the week because it was the last transatlantic.
That's right.
And
did, yeah.
It's still got you can't get rid of that sort of stuff.
The cocktail menus. Do you know, I love Cunard so much. I've had their name embroidered on all my towels.
That's nice. But your name is Queen Elizabeth too, isn't it?
Yeah, Queen Elizabeth too.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Oh, it is amazing. This isn't a story. This is just something I noticed once. I was in Boston. We'd just been to the exterior of the Cheers, the sitcom.
Yeah.
Me and Dave Evans went there and got a picture taken outside the pub. 10 minutes later, he was talking to a squirrel in the park in Boston. It was just that one memory I will always remember with Dave.
Yeah, it is amazing, isn't it? But the things also people want to see. I can remember going to where were we? Hawaii. We were in Hawaii.
Oh,
yeah?
Not done
and
that.
I got off, and I was going to Pearl Harbor just to see if it was, I'd never been there, and it sort of fascinates me. But they stopped on the way to Pearl Harbor. They stopped the coach and pointed out Dog the Bounty Hunter's office. Yeah.
Because he's relevant, of course.
The holidaymakers on board the coach were more excited about that than they were about Pearl Harbor.
Wow. Yeah.
Absolutely fascinated by that.
Do you know that they do these Hollywood tours, don't they? If you go to Hollywood, I've never done it yet, in Los Angeles, you can get on a bus, go and show you famous people's houses. They should do that in Eastbourne. They've got me, they've got you, they've got Tucker, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
they could do that here.
They've got one half of the Bachelors, haven't they, down here as well?
Yeah, we got Dec Lusky, so we should start those tours. We might have to in January, but that's...
and we can make them up, can we? We can make a few up as well.
No, we will. We will make them up.
No one would know, would they?
No.
Who would know?
People listening to this, they'll know.
Ben Stiller hasn't got a holiday home in Eastbourne. Who would know?
Oh, mate, do you know what? There's no reason why we can't write a spoof documentary about that. That's a good idea to actually... Oh, I like that. Oh, yeah. I'll talk to you about that. Anyway, I love ideas.
Eastbourne. Come to Eastbourne to retire. Yeah, a bit like Switzerland, only not as quick.
Ooh, Konklaski.
I love the sign as you drive into Eastbourne when it says "Breathe it in" and everyone's wearing masks.
I know.
Welcome to Eastbourne. Breathe it in.
What's all that about? Yeah.
And I'm sure they had that printed just after that big chemical thing on the beaches happened 2 years ago. Do you remember that?
Oh, do you remember that? Yeah, we had a party for the kids. I think it was a kid's birthday. And friends of ours went down onto the beach afterwards and then came back because they were all feeling a bit funny.
Oh,
because there was they never really explained it, did they?
No, they didn't. That bypassed us, didn't it, in the wind? But Yeah, still won't know, will we? What is going on now? You know, we'll never know. Now, I can't talk to you, Dickie, without talking about the water rats. The Grand Order of Water Rats is something I absolutely love being there in the HQ. We've missed it this year. But can you tell me about how you started with the rats? What's your connection?
Well, when I was, it's funny, when I was a little boy, seriously, when I was a little boy, I grew up and one of my best mates was Andre Vince.
Oh,
and, the comic. We used to go to Beacon Theatre Centre together, and we did Bromley Theatre Centre, and we used to do shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, you're both from Kent, yeah? We're both
from Kent, and just round the corner from Andre's house was a joke shop and costumiers.
Okay.
And the bloke that ran it, and his name was Peter. Oh, see, I've lost his name now. But anyway, he used to wear this rat round his neck. Yeah. And I can remember being with Andre, and we asked about this rat round his neck, and he explained to us the Grand Order of Water Rats.
Okay.
And it always sort of stuck in my mind about the water rat. And then years and years and years. And then when I was doing Barnum, actually, when we were doing Barnum, Sue and Peter Barber, the Stiltwalkers. Peter Barber was a water rat and talked about it quite a lot. Boy's Little Emblem.
Okay.
And Michael Crawford joined when we were doing. He's a baby rat when we were doing the show, and I was like, wow. And it was only years later when I was doing Chroma, and we did a water rat show at the end of the pier.
Yeah.
With Norman Wisdom.
Wow.
Norman Wisdom, also one of my great heroes. I mean, he really is.
Yeah.
I can remember doing my act at the end of the water rat show. I wasn't a water rat, but they let me do my act. And Norman Wisdom was watching my act from backstage.
Wow.
And I came off stage, and he said, "Dickie, you're a funny man." And I burst into tears on his shoulder.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, the first time I met him, I was crying on his shoulder. But, it's just amazing.
What a lovely
thing. During that evening, I asked if I could be a water rat. I said, "Can I be a water rat then?" And 2 months later, I was a water rat.
You're kidding. That is a really fast process, isn't it?
Yeah, really, really, really quick.
Oh, amazing.
The act went well that night, but I didn't think it had gone that well. But yeah, so suddenly I became a water rat, thanks to Roy Hudd.
Was he your proposer?
No, he was my seconder. I think he proposed too many people that year. So Jack. See, I've lost all these names now.
Trip.
You lose these names.
No, he's not a rat.
No, I'm going through a...
Jack Seaton.
Jack Seaton.
Oh, I love Jack.
So Jack Seaton was my proposer, and Roy was my seconder, and that was it. I was in.
Oh, brilliant!
So that's 20 years ago. Yeah, 20 years ago.
Actually, I've done a couple of shows for Jack Seaton, and what I love, and he'd done one for me. Bless him. One of the last things he did was an auction for me in an Eastbourne hotel. And he was there all night. I said, "What can I get for you?" I got him a hotel room. He went, "Steve, I'll just have a whiskey and I'll be fine." And he was there all night for me. He got laughs. He got the auction prices up. We raised loads of money, and he was. Oh, I love Jack. I miss him.
Yeah,
he was great.
Guy. But he got me into the rats.
Yeah,
which
was
nice. Lovely. And I can remember my first meeting, my first lodge. I was sat there. In between Bernie Clifton, who I talked with, another one of my heroes, and Norman Wisdom. And I was sat there thinking,
what happened?
This is it. It's now I've arrived.
That's amazing. And I've seen you.
That was great.
Yeah, I've been sat there in lodge, and I've sat. Sometimes I just wait for your comments, because the banter in the lodge is one of the greatest. It can make the lodge what it is, isn't it? The banter between the rats and the Adger Brown, and you've got Dougie Brown, and yourself, Andre, and it just really is a blessing to sit there and listen and laugh. And these are the stories that we will tell years to come. And the thing that we go for is the jesters. Now, the jesters is one thing that you get if you get a great ad lib or something relevant to what we're talking about. And you always hit the nail on the head, don't you? You always walk away with that, jesters.
Well, I was a bit shy. I must admit, I was a very shy rat for the first few years. I mean, it's only until you sort of get your foot in and you realise who's who and what's what and everything like that. Sadly, we've lost a good number of rats. Not by COVID, but during this time. Because,
yes.
I a lot of the rats are very old. I mean, that's no surprise to anyone. I'm not sort of, so we have lost a few, and I think membership is as low as it's been since the 1920s. We've got to, when we return, we've got to sort of work hard and get some new members and raise the profile. I feel because because it's it raises a lot of money for very worthwhile causes, and the year wouldn't be the same without the ball at the end of it, would it? We have a great time.
Eyes and Teeth. Just a few years back, for the Water Rats, I planned a trip to Vivi in Switzerland to the Charlie Chaplin Museum, and you sadly couldn't come, but you did tell me a story that blew my mind, and I think you know where this is going, but I'd love for you to share it if you don't mind. And I know you're quite modest as well, because it's not really out there, is it, this story? But I will get it out of you.
It's not, but it was in 72, the re-release of, I think it was City Lights. Charlie Chaplin was in this country, 1972. It's hard to believe, isn't it?
Yes.
1972.
Wow.
But my grandfather, Gaga, Freddie Gauntlett, I used to go up to town quite often, and I don't know why I was up in town with him, but I went up there anyway.
How old were you then?
Well, I was about to be 9, wasn't I, 72?
Okay.
9. Because I wanted to meet Charlie Chaplin, really. That's what I wanted to do. Sure. And we knew he was staying at the Savoy. Yeah.
Okay.
And we went to the Savoy. And I asked for his autograph, and the bloke said, "No, leave me your book, and I'll see what I can do." So, but he came out. That's right. And I met him. I actually went up to him, and I've still got his autograph to this day. So that was it's funny because I can hardly remember it, but my grandfather was there, Freddie was there, and he told me about it.
What a moment.
So
that's incredible.
But I don't think I must admit I wasn't a Charlie Chaplin fan.
Yeah.
But I realised how great he was. I suppose Stan Laurel was my hero.
Okay.
My absolute hero.
Yeah, you kind of get fans of Charlie Chaplin or Laurel Hardy, don't you? Sometimes not both, but...
And Stan Laurel was my hero, undoubtedly. And I met his daughter, and Andre and I used to do Laurel and Hardy.
Did you?
And we used to do the Helpmates tent, which is the Laurel and Hardy Appreciation Society.
Oh, okay, yeah. Is that Sons of the Desert sort of thing, is it?
So we used to open our act on the streets of Covent Garden. We used to open our acts with Laurel and Hardy, the dance from Way Out West, yeah? And, and we started doing it everywhere. And the Sons of the Desert sort of took us under their wing, and that's what we did. And it was brilliant. But I used to watch an awful lot of Laurel and Hardy, because I think certainly when I was a kid, they were on all the time on telly, on Saturday morning and stuff like that.
Yeah, I remember.
And all the black and white, all the shorts were on. And I can remember watching them for time and time again. And then the Ronar collection, I think a German company bought the rights, and we never saw them for years until they were then released on video. I remember them being released on video.
Yes.
And then the DVD, the whole DVD collection, which I've got somewhere. I don't know where it is. But
Oh, amazing though. I mean, the Sons of the Desert group of Laurel and Hardy fans are wonderful people. I did get to perform on one of their events, celebrating, I think it was like an anniversary of 1952 when they came over and done the tours. And there was a ventriloquist on every tour. Ray Allen, funny enough, did it.
And Ray Allen used to tell a lovely story. He told it to me because he knew I was a fan. About he on the last night of their tour, he had a dressing room right at the top of the theatre, right at the top, 7 flights of stairs. And Laurel and Hardy walked up to get his signature on their book.
Wow.
And to say thank you. And they were in their 70s, they walked all the way up the stairs just to see everybody. And but that's amazing, isn't it?
That just shows what wonderful people there.
You've worked with people who worked with Laurel and Hardy.
I know. And those stories, like I said, I mean, people need to tell these stories, otherwise we'll never know. Laurel and Hardy were water rats.
Generation away
I know.
from that. I worked with obviously Michael Crawford, but I worked with an actor called Leon Green, who was baddie in Panto a couple of times, and he was Maximus in. Funny thing happened to me on the way to the Forum. Both in the London one, both London productions with Frankie Howard and everything. But he did the movie. So this guy worked with Buster Keaton. You go, wow, wait a sec.
Wow.
You worked with Buster Keaton. It was another genius, you know. But they are only one and a half generations away, and it's a shame that they're forgotten so quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Keaton changed film. I mean, he really did change film with his techniques, you know, and his...
There is a wonderful thing about playing these people. I've seen Tommy Cooper plays and Morecambe and Wise plays with John T and Ian. Wonderful things. But, I mean, fellow comedian Steve Royal recently played music hall legend Dan Leno. Les Dennis played Liverpool club comedian Jigsy recently, I saw. Kev Orkian, Brother Rat, played Dudley Moore. Is there a comedy icon that you would love to play? Now, you've probably answered my question because you have done Laurel Hardy. But is there one that you would love to play that you haven't?
I don't know.
I guess you've done Stan Laurel, haven't you?
I'm not a massive fan of tribute acts.
Right.
I'm not, because I feel sometimes the tribute act can be bent into modern comedy. In that, past King Rat, Roy Hudd did Underneath the Arches in Town.
Yes.
Now, I'm a firm believer that Roy Hudd and Christopher Timothy were probably better than Flanagan and Allen.
Yeah.
Or not better, but more suited to a 20th century audience. Like, if we saw Flanagan and Allen, how they actually did it originally, it probably wouldn't be that great, you know?
Sure.
But it was great for the audiences of the time.
Yes.
It's like I was up for a play not so long ago about we just mentioned him. Steve Royal did what's his name?
Dan Leno, yeah.
Dan Leno, and I was up for a play about Dan Leno about a year and a half ago.
Okay.
And I sang it and I did it and everything. I went to sing and then they gave me a script, and I looked at the script. I went, wait a second. I said, none of this is Dan Leno. You know, none of these speak. Yeah. But then Dan Leno's scripts. We looked at them and they're just not funny. So what they did, they cobbled together a load of sort of bit of Ronnie Core, bit of this, bit of that, and it just. So they were just portraying a funny man.
Yeah, did that take the magic?
Were the only things that took it back.
Yeah.
You know, wait, this isn't Dan Leno.
So they took away the magic of actual Dan Leno. Yeah, right.
And Dan Leno was actually a very dark person. He was very dark. You know, I mean, he wasn't well.
Sure. I think Steve Royal depicts that actually in his part. I think it's about the story of Dan, isn't it, rather than his act?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, but I think that's the sort of thing. And I did a lot of work for the Players Theatre, the musical theatre that used to be underneath the arches in Charing Cross.
Okay, yeah.
And they had a fantastic library. I mean, they really did. And I did Little Titch, you know, the big boots.
Yes.
So I did that for years, which got me into musical originally, and you know, that's why I toured with Roy. I had a lot, you know, with the Little Titch big boot dance.
Yeah. Oh, brilliant!
I still do it. I did it.
Those boots, those actual boots from Little Titch are in the Water Rats Museum, aren't they? I'm sure I've seen them.
Well, there are a pair in the Water Rats Museum, but they're actually too big, size-wise, to be Little Titches. There are another pair of boots up there. I was actually given a bag of big boots. Can you believe it?
Really?
8 pairs. Yeah. And there was a pair of them up there as well. But they weren't Little Titches.
They're big Titches, weren't they?
So I don't know I don't know. But then when I was doing research for Little Titch, who was one of the greats, was one of, you know, the big four. He really was. Dan Leno, him, Murray Lloyd. I mean, you know, they were huge stars of the day. And reading the scripts of Little Titch, you know, in between his songs and stuff like that, they're all up. They were all in the Players' music library. They weren't
incredible.
Funny.
No,
really weren't funny.
Do you think they would have been in their day, or do you just think they just weren't?
I am a firm believer that they would have been in the day.
You think that we've changed over the years?
I really do. It's like watching the Wheel Tappers and Shunters. I don't know if I've been recently watching DVDs of those. And although they're entertaining, they're not funny.
Yeah.
And I I think it's you've got to keep your eye on the clock, on the wall. And I think comedy changes. I really do think comedy changes.
Yeah, it does.
And what was funny in the 70s isn't funny now. I'm not talking about, the way that everyone has to be PC and all that sort of thing. So the actual comedy.
I know what you mean. There are some amazing things. When I say amazing, I think, wow, that worked back then. But then you can see Cannon and Ball and Bernie Clifton on the Will Tappers and think, and the Crankies, and they're just genius acts back then, And
but some of these comics are doing very similar acts now.
Yes,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's really interesting to see how they've changed and how they've sort of molded,
adapted. Yeah,
and adapted. It's amazing to see. Like the Crankies act is very similar to it is now, but a lot of that's visual and the relationship between them both. Yeah, that's something that has stayed. And I did Panto with the Crankies in 89, 90 in Belfast. Yeah, and they ripped the audience apart every night. I mean, just amazing. One of the finest comedians I've ever worked with. I mean, I really think she's...
Jeanette and Ian. They did a thing for me, a tribute to Keith Harris about 3 years ago, and they put them on at the end of the first half, and they got a standing ovation. They done the vent act. They were both 71 years old. I think it was the last time they performed, and they still done the vent act where he's swinging her all over the stage. I've got it on DVD. It's one of the most amazing acts that it still works.
Because
it's visual. I
think will never ever die.
No.
I had when I was moving house, I found all my Laurel Hardy videos, and there is a section in a short they did called Toad in the Hole where they're rebuilding the boat.
Okay.
And there's a section that Stan Laurel has done something to Ollie, and he's just jumped over the side of the boat. And Ollie looks back, and you just see Stan's eyes move along the side into a gap, and then disappear, then arrive somewhere else and move along. Now this, I can remember, I still laugh out loud at this bit, and the video, and I found it, because I was doing some taping, I found it on the video, and it's worn out, because I watched it that many times.
Wow.
And visual humour, I think, has no sell-by date. It really has no sell-by date.
No.
But I think as far as the stand-up's concerned, the musical stuff now just isn't really as popular and as funny as it used to be. As it was when it was written.
It's all with moving the times, wasn't it? And writing as well. And you, with your writing, you're writing from Panto year to year, and you even write for Sooty. You love writing, don't you? What's your most treasured script that you've written from scratch? Can you pick one out?
No, I enjoy writing sketches. I really enjoy writing sketches. And we used to write all the sketches for Cromer, the comic that used to top Cromer, used to write all the sketches. That's how it used to be.
Yes.
I think it's changed over the years. But we wrote some, and I used to work. Did Cromer twice, and my second comic was a guy called Wink Taylor. Do you know Wink Taylor?
Well, a very talented man, Wink and Wendy.
Just a brilliant mimic.
Yes.
What a brilliant mimic.
He does Basil Brush, doesn't he now?
Yeah, well, no, he
did, didn't he?
Basil Brush tours.
Okay.
He now tours. He does doing Butlins at the moment with his
Theo the Mouse.
With his mouse show, Theo the Mouse.
Yes.
With Wendy.
Wendy's brilliant.
I mean, he's great. I speak to him probably once or twice a month. I still speak to Wink, and we did some sketches during Cromer that were timeless. I really think they were timeless, and we were very productive. We used to write sketches a lot that still survive, and I'm still cramming those sketches into pantomime because a lot of them worked so well. And we did a Red Arrows routine one year that was that I still put in Panto. It was going in this year actually into Norwich this year.
Okay.
But I do write a new Panto every year for Norwich, and that. It always takes me ever such a long time, because if you're in it, you care that much more about it. And if you're writing stuff for yourself, it's got to be right. It's got to be right. So
it's got to fit your personality, isn't it?
Yeah.
You wrote the Panto for this year. Has that Panto moved into next year now? Fingers crossed.
Yeah. So Dick Whittington and his cat will now be next year.
Okay.
Because we got the scenery sorted. We got the special effects sorted. We got everything sorted.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the
It's
music,
just delayed.
Which sketch was going where and all that sort of stuff, and we cast some of it, and so we're now going to do that next year. Yeah.
Fantastic, mate. Well, I wish you all the best for this run coming up in Norwich Theatre Royal this season, 2020. Let's end the year on a bang, eh? And good luck with the show and working with Tucker. You're going to have a fantastic time. Thank you so much, Dickie Gauntlett. You're a superstar, mate. I appreciate that.
Lovely to speak to you. See you later. Bye.
Cheers, buddy.
Eyes and Teeth.
Thanks to Dickie. It's always an experience catching up, and a funny one at that. Now, as this was recorded back in 2020 leading up to Christmas, we don't know how things went with Panto in a Pickle. But that's what reviews are for, surely. There's been a terrible mess-up in Pantoland. Why is Peter Pan in the Cave of Wonders? What is Jack doing with a pumpkin? What has the giant stolen? This really is a Panto in a Pickle. The writing and directing talents of Norwich's favourite Dame Richard Gauntlett retains the traditional elements of Panto, jokes and laughter, lovable characters, bright and sparkling scenes, and of course a happily ever after, but all within a COVID-safe environment and performed to a socially distanced audience. The small but strong cast of three worked brilliantly to engage and entertain from start to finish. Harriet Bunton, from Fiddler on the Roof, Mamma Mia and We Will Rock You, shines and sparkles as Panto Fairy, Peter Pan and Princess Aurora. Her rendition of Ed Sheeran's Perfect was beautifully sung and delivered confidently, even while her castmates performed their funny antics around her. This year, Richard Gauntlett not only plays Dame Trot, but extends his talents and eccentric wardrobe, changes to Queen, Elvira, Genie and even Cinderella. Helping to lend a hand in Pantoland and add to the mayhem is comic entertainer Tucker, playing Silly Simon, Buttons, Muddles and Aladdin. Together, Tucker and Richard bring the witty one-liners, simple but effective dad jokes and the slapstick humour. The story is perfect for different Panto and the sets are as grand as any year, but I did miss the multiple characters and dancing ensembles. As you would expect, there is some audience participation, but understandably, this isn't encouraged as much. I won't give any spoilers, but I must say my favourite scene is the 12 Gifts of Christmas. Thoughts by Dawn. And the EDP says Gauntlett, one of just 3 performers on stage as ever, was sublime as well as ridiculous in equal measure, with an array of comic quips, including looking back to the good old days in February. He alone is worth an annual visit to Norwich to see a master of merriment at work, but every great comedian has a sidekick, and in Tucker, who played Silly Simon, Buttons, Igor, Muddles and Aladdin, he had the perfect partner. The pair of them joked around while Harriet Bunton worked her magic as Fairy, Tiny, Princess Aurora and Peter Pan. The ovation given to the Fantastic Three at the end of the night was as moving as it was genuine. Panto in a Pickle is proof positive that we all need a little bit of theatre back in our lives. Roll on 2021. To see more of Richard, you can poke him or throw a sheep at him on Facebook. Do they still do that? Anyway, Richard Gauntlett is there. Today's comedy quote comes from Stan Laurel. You can lead a horse to water, but a pencil must be lead. Here's another one. I had a dream that I was awake, and I woke up to find myself asleep. And one more, because it's Stan Laurel. If any of you cry at my funeral, I'll never speak to you again. Eyes and Teeth is written, produced and hosted by Steve Hewlett. Vocals by Lola, Larissa and Nina Hewlett. Additional vocals by Rich T. The Eyes and Teeth music and jingles are produced and performed by Kevin Dean. Listen into edition 3 of The Water Rats on Eyes and Teeth when I chat to a legend of after-dinner speaking and sporting events, host, presenter, very funny man, Bob the Cat Bevan, MBE. See you then.